Do you have an estate in the Philippines that needs to be settled? Has a family member passed away with assets located in the Philippines? Are you interested in learning how to save up to 73% in estate taxes? If so, we're here to help. My name is Ed Kanglet, and I'm a lawyer with Fil-AM Lawyers, where we assist U.S. persons with their Philippine assets. Today I'm joined by my colleague and fellow licensed California attorney, Dr. Ray Gervasio, and fellow licensed Philippine attorney, Chester Ogsamer. Today we'd like to talk about an exciting opportunity for the more than 4 million Filipino-Americans with respect to a recent estate tax amnesty program passed by the Philippine government. Dr. Ray, can you explain how estate tax works? It's funny because it sounds like it's a tax that you pay when you die. Can you clarify that for our audience?
Sure. The estate tax is a tax that is actually imposed on the assets of a person who has passed away. And this is a tax that is imposed for the right to transfer the assets to the beneficiaries or to the loved ones of that person who's passed on. Now here in the US, the estate tax rate is quite high. It's 40%. Fortunately, however, there is an exclusion or an amount that we can pass on to our loved ones without estate taxes, so long as the value of our estate is below this amount. And that currently is set at $11.4 million per person. Now, in the Philippines, there is a similar tax, also called the estate tax, and the rate is not as high. It's only at 20%. So for anyone who passes away with assets in the Philippines, they can be subject to Philippine estate tax if their assets exceed a certain amount. And the rate can be as high as 20%. Now the exclusion amount in the Philippines, however, is minuscule. It is 200,000 pesos, or equivalent to about 4,000 US dollars. Another thing that's kind of important and different than the US estate tax is that in the Philippines, you must file and pay the estate taxes within 6 months after date of death. And failure to do so will result in a surcharge being imposed on the estate, adding to the tax. That's a 25% surcharge. Additionally, if you do not pay this within that 6-month period, there is an interest component. It's 20% interest added every year to the estate tax that is owed.
Attorney Chester, can you give an example of how they calculate estate taxes in the Philippines?
Sure. Let's take, for example, a person died with a net taxable estate of 12 million, and he passed away on November 17, 2017, around 2 years ago. For that estate, the base tax is 1.215 million for the first 10 million, and 20% of the excess is around 400,000, with a total estate tax due of around 1.6 million. And because that person or the family of that person wasn't able to pay the tax within the amount of time required, there is a 25% surcharge amounting to around 403,750. And for the 2-year period that he wasn't able to pay, there's a 20% annual interest, so that's 2 years, for a total amount of 646,000. And adding all that, you have a total amount due of around 2.66 million pesos.
And for our Filipino Americans, that translated into US dollars is 53,000 US dollars. A lot of money. In my local practice here in California, I can come up with several reasons why people would hesitate to take care of estate taxes. Number one, someone has passed away. We are still grieving, and we're not ready to handle the payment of taxes. Attorney Chester, can you go over some examples of why the current status is that people are not handling this tax?
Well, aside from the grief that the family is experiencing and the huge amount of tax that they have to face, it also gives rise usually to family conflicts among brothers and sisters, parents and children. Why? Because a person left behind an estate, and it's time to divide the estate amongst the heirs. And it is a question of who gets what. When there's a precious asset there, everybody wants it. And they will fight for it until they get it. Sometimes families go to court just to settle this. And the delay in court action results in delay in payment of estate tax. Another is that a family may be asset rich, but they are cash poor. So what they do when they have no ready cash on hand is they sell their assets. And this takes time as well.
Luckily, the Philippine government passed an estate tax amnesty in June 2019. Attorney Chester, can you explain how this amnesty program works?
Well, first of all, a tax amnesty is a limited time opportunity for a certain group of taxpayers to pay a certain amount in exchange for forgiveness from the government from an existing or previously assessed tax liability, which may include interest and penalties and also prosecution. With the tax amnesty program, the people are given the opportunity to settle a certain amount without interest, without penalties, and also without fear of prosecution. And the Philippine government, through Republic Act 11213, declared that it is high time to give reasonable tax relief to estates with delinquent taxes. President Duterte himself declared that it is time to settle those long idle estate properties and help these families to finally move on and give them opportunity to help the Philippines grow economically. With RA 11213, the coverage is any death occurring before December 31, 2017 on properties, real or personal, located in the Philippines. The benefit for those who will avail of this amnesty is instead of the rate applicable at the time of death, they will only pay 6% of the net taxable estate or a minimum of 5,000 pesos. Also, there will be no penalty, no interest, and again, no prosecution.
I mean, can you impress upon our audience here how timing is of the essence in taking advantage of this amnesty? Number one, how many amnesties, tax amnesties, has the government passed? And specifically with respect to estate tax in the history of maybe the last 50 or 60 years?
Well, let's start with the Marcos regime, for example. President Marcos has many tax amnesties amounting to about 10 presidential decrees, but none of them were of estate tax. In the past 54 years from the beginning of the Marcos regime up to the present, RA 11213 is only the third estate tax amnesty.
Dr. Ray, let's go back to our original 12 million peso estate and see how the new tax amnesty will be calculated in that situation.
Okay. Now, looking back at our original illustration, where a person passes away on November 17, 2017, with a net taxable estate of 12 million pesos, we remember the calculation to be 2.66 million pesos amount due. Now, when we apply the amnesty, or we take advantage of the amnesty program, the tax on the 12 million pesos comes out to 720,000 pesos, which is a whopping 73% less than the pre-amnesty application of the estate tax.
And I think in American dollars, if we take the pre-amnesty, we're talking about 53,000 US dollars versus only 14,000 US dollars, which illustrates the savings of 73%. I know this is timing is of the essence. Attorney Chester, can you explain to the audience when the deadline, when do they need to do this, and what do they need to know?
Well, Republic Act 11213 is only effective for 2 years, and it passed in June 2019, and it will end at the strike of midnight of June 15, 2021. After that, it goes back to the usual rate, and not only can you kiss your 73% savings goodbye, you can expect the revenue officers to go after you with a criminal prosecution.
At FIL-AM Lawyers, our mission is to assist U.S. persons with their Philippine assets, and we can't think of a better opportunity than to take advantage of this estate tax amnesty by transferring efficiently those assets from one generation to the next. To learn more about our services, and information about setting up an initial consultation with one of our attorneys, please visit us at FilAmLawyers.com or call 323-FilAmLaw.